Hey guys, this is the Sports Hub. I'm Connor O'Gara. We have a full show to get to today. We have a Coach's Corner interview with Kearney Catholic boys coach Scott Carlin. We have a segment called On the Rise, one of my favorites here, where we talk about a player on the girls' side and the boys' side, and we have a boys' team that's on the rise in the area. And then we have a Sports Hub Call of the Week that pits an FKC girls matchup. A couple teams that could be looking to get a big win this week. But before we talk about any of that, we're going to talk 3 stars. And we're going to talk about a Tuesday performance that was pretty special. That's Connor Young of Cozad. You're probably sick of hearing his name from the football season. Of course, the Cozad quarterback did it all again in a victory on Tuesday night against Ord. He had 26 points, a season high for him. Had 3 dunks, well, 2.5 depending on who you ask. 2.5 dunks in that one as well. Young just absolutely did it all defensively. Had 5 steals and really got the haymakers going on the defensive side of the ball in that one. Kind of played a little bit more of the point guard role too in the second half. And that's maybe something that the haymakers are going to need to do. They feel like they're finally coming into their own offensively, getting a little bit more of a rhythm after, of course, that late football season. Young keeps having performances like that. Look out, this team is going to be as good as it gets in C1. And then on the girls' side, Jasmine Brooks of Broken Bow. She had a nice 23-point game and a victory against Amherst, 58-46, a road win for the Indians. They need that. It's been a little bit of a rough start for the Indians so far, but they need their senior Brooks to step up, have more 20-point games like that. Offense looks a lot easier when your senior's doing it for you, especially in a big game like that. And then the 3rd star that we're going to look at, this is a kid, Robbie Ritz, that we talked about last year as being one of those up-and-coming kids. Just a kid that can score from anywhere on the floor. He had 24 points and 13 rebounds in a big victory against Palmer. And like I said before, he's not afraid to step back and shoot the 3. Yeah, he averages 19 points, 8 rebounds a game, but don't be fooled. This kid can score from absolutely anywhere, really gets after it on the offensive and defensive glass, and he's a guy that really just needs to be the source of offense for that team. Nobody else averaging double figures for the Rebels, but if Ritz can keep having games like that, they won't need all that outside scoring. A team that's certainly on the rise in the Hub territory, that's the Wood River boys, doing really good things in C1 right now. They're 7-2. They've won 4 games in a row. Talked about what they could potentially have going into this year with that core coming back. To have a Nate Bott point guard, definitely just the epitome of a coach's son, the way that he plays the game and the way that he's able to pass the ball. Jaime Rojas, you have Dan Bozart, Matt Ronald, guys that have just been there in Dave Bott's system, and they just know that this is an unselfish offense. This is not necessarily a team that's going to have those 20, 25-point scores. Yes, they have guys that can go off for that much, but they're really unselfish. They just have such good balance too from beyond the arc, and that presence inside that Renault is able to bring. He's having a really nice year. And this is a Wood River team that is just going to present so many problems, I think, in the LPC. They are really playing heads and shoulders above maybe anybody in that conference right now. Have a big showdown coming up against Kearney Catholic, but watch out. This is a Wood River team that's not going away anytime soon. I've had the pleasure of watching Brady Standage play basketball twice this year, and it's been, like I said, a pleasure. The Ravenna Center has done absolutely everything that Paul Baronic could possibly ask of a kid to do. Has just been an absolute monster this season, averaging 23 points, 9.5 rebounds a game. He has 6 20-point games already. He had 2 last year. This is a kid that is absolutely tearing it up, playing as well as any big man in the Hub territory. Came into the season telling me about all these 3s that he was going to shoot. Yeah, he can shoot that 3, but you know what? The damage that he does inside, he is so good on the low block. Just a kid that knows footwork, understands spacing, and really doesn't get flustered by double teams, because he does see a lot of double teams in that low post. But really has just been an absolute beast down low. Really been a nice addition to have, when you have Blake Formosa on the outside, a kid that can shoot. And everybody on that starting 5 can really shoot from the outside. But Standage, just a guy that's going to be able to spread that floor even more for Paul Baronic's offense. Speaking of double-double machines, how about Danielle Eichenberger of Arapahoe? This is a girl that last year said to Kip Stevens, she said, I don't really know why I'm starting in this starting lineup. Of course, that Arapahoe team clinched the 2nd straight state berth last year. And Stevens just said point blank, you're really good. You're really good when you're able to get the ball in the low block and just go up to the hoop. You have good footwork down low, and you're able to take over on that block. And this is something that Eichenberger has done really well this year. She's averaging a double-double and just is getting more and more confidence every single game. She is somebody that's not going to see many double teams because of the presence that Kaylee Watson has. And if she's able to establish that presence on the low block, look out. Arapahoe is really going to be a force to be reckoned with for the 3rd year in a row. I try not to make it a habit to call teams out, but in the holiday wish list that I put together before the break, I said, Kearney Catholic, I just want to see if the Kearney Catholic boys can settle down in the half court and get some offense going. First 4 games of the season, Kearney Catholic boys averaged 47 points. They've won 4 out of their last 5. They're averaging 65 points in that stretch. Something has definitely changed for Scott Carlin's group. They have a really big week coming up. We already talked about it before with the showdown against Wood River, and then they get to take on GICC. A very tough back-to-back. I got to catch up with Kearney Catholic coach Scott Carlin in this edition of the Coach's Corner.
I think our transition game's been better. We focused on that, and when it's not been there, we haven't just thrown up a lot of shots. We've executed, and we've tried to get the ball inside out or get a skip and stuff like that, because we are going to shoot the ball from outside, but it hasn't been a one-pass fadeaway three-pointer. It's been 2 feet squared, and we've kind of talked about guys that have to get the ball more often. When you score, you're able to set up your presses, so that means our defense has been better, and then we're able to get more transition stuff to score more. But I think we've rebounded better, more consistently, I should say, since that point, with the maybe second half of St. Pat's being the exception, but they shot such a good percentage that half, there wasn't a lot of rebounds there. We got to control the boards. The first time we played them, they kicked our butts on the boards, and we have to try to control the boards, and that means every time we get 5 guys boxed down when we're on defense, then we got to look to run when it's there. And if it's not there, we have to execute in the half court. They do a great job of collapsing on the post, so we are going to have to use inside-out type stuff and move the ball and get good looks. Oh, it's a great barometer on having 2 good teams to see what we have that we're doing well. Kind of always been able to reevaluate. It's kind of nice when you play good teams. They expose weaknesses that maybe you've been able to get away with against some lesser teams. And then these are 2 extremely well-coached teams by both Coach Baugh and Coach Martinez over at JCC. They're going to expose any weakness we can, and if we can't improve from that, it's going to be a long year.
In our Sports Hub Call of the Week, we're going to look at an FKC girls matchup on Saturday night between Wilcox-Hildreth and Elm Creek. 2 teams that have kind of gotten off to a little bit of different starts. Wilcox-Hildreth, of course, got off to that great 4-0 start. Elm Creek has been a little bit up and down, but still 6-3 on the year, playing that good pressure defense. We talk about that with Mike Ford a lot, and he's able to really implement that style, and they really have girls that get after it on the defensive side. Maybe not a consistent team offensively, but when you have defense like that, that's able to get steals, get in the passing lanes, and then of course when you have a super freshman in Claire Cornell, things are a little bit easier on the offensive end. So I just think this is a game that Elm Creek, maybe a little bit more of a defensive battle, but I think Elm Creek's able to pull ahead in this one, 44-38. Is there a 3-star that I'm forgetting? Is there a team that's on the rise that I'm forgetting? Or is there just a team overall that I'm not talking about? I want to know about it. Shoot me an email, sports@kearneyhub.com. If I'm not giving your player or team their proper due, I want to make sure that we get all of that stuff in. Coaches, make sure you're still sending all of those box scores to sports@kearneyhub.com. Really good to be back into the regular part of the season. As Connor Young said on Tuesday night, it's good to kind of have 3 games in a week now. Everybody getting more comfortable into the flow of the season after this winter break. So for Connor O'Gara, this has been the Sports Hub. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.